All right. Most of you probably know who Jordan Peterson is, right? Very famous guy. Lots of books, lots of appearances, lots of fame and fortune and whatnot. I don't know so much about the fortune, but admittedly, I like the stuff he did back in the day, perhaps better than the stuff he does these days. Not that I was actually alive back then, or maybe at least not cognizant or interested in philosophy at that point in time. But I like the stuff he did back when he was younger. He seems like he was more fancy-free and footloose back then. But I don't blame him. I suppose if you get famous and you have millions upon millions of subscribers, you kind of have to start taking yourself a little bit more seriously. But I also kind of find him annoying. I think in large part because, well, in addition to the whole maybe taking himself more seriously, he's the type of person that other people name drop. He's very popular. And I find those type of people annoying. Not to be confused with why I find Gal Gadot annoying. She uses the word gooder, which clearly means she's a witch. But I digress. There's one of Jordan Peterson's theories that I find very intriguing. Well, probably more than that, but this is the one I'm thinking of right now. He talks about people viewing life through a lens. Maybe akin to a filtering mechanism of some sort. Right. So, I think this is largely correct, that life to a large extent runs on assumptions. In theory, at any point in time, at any place in the universe, it's possible that anything could occur, right? And also for living creatures, it's possible that you could take any course of action, in theory, right? Well, not any course, but there's a nigh on infinite amount of possible courses of action open to you. That's the point. So why is it that we're not thinking of all these things simultaneously? All of the threats that could possibly happen, like an asteroid hitting the Earth and blasting us all to cinders, or a psychopath entering the room in the next 5 seconds and slashing your throat, right? Or some weird course of action that you might take, like just running out to a bridge and jumping off. Why is it that we're not thinking about all of these possibilities? I feels like a lot of what we learn growing up, all of the social conditioning we go through and stuff like that, it comes together to form kind of a filtering mechanism that rules out 99.9% of these possibilities and leaves us with a few manageable threats to assess and a few manageable courses of actions to try and adjudicate between, to choose the most utilitarian course of action. And I think it is, important though to realize that these assumptions we're making, the things that rule out all of these maybe superfluous possibilities, these assumptions we're making, even our grasp on sanity itself, or this filtering mechanism we have, it's not as strong as I think we maybe would take for granted that it is. That our grasp on sanity is, in fact, it is kind of a fragile thing. That there are things that can come along and shake this. A spouse dying, or the feeling that you've dedicated your life to a cause and found it to be false or wanting, right? And these things can shake the assumptions we've made and make us believe that, make us realize that they aren't, in fact, as solid as we initially thought. And it feels like in a lot of cases like this, it's kind of a race to the bottom, like an existential crisis or an existential regression, to the point where you're basically stripped down to very basic assumptions, which explains another thing that Jordan Peterson does that I also, forget that part, that I thought was initially kind of silly and annoying. That when he's talking to people about how they should build their life up, he starts with very, very simplistic axiomatic statements, right? It's things that people are why are you talking about this? But it's kind of explained in the fact that he is a clinician and he did deal with people who were very unhealthy. He was a clinician and he did deal with people that were unhealthy, probably on a mental level. No, but it does feel like that when you reach the bottom of this, you have to start with very, very simple assumptions and build your way up from there. And for the record, I'm not meaning to suggest that people who don't or who haven't had this existential regression happen to them should just break it for the sake of fixing it. I think it's possible that shall we say, these simple souls might go through their entire lives without challenging things to the depth that other people do, or challenging their assumptions to the depth that other people challenge their assumptions, or building their life the way other people do. They can be perfectly productive the way they are. They can live good lives the way they are. So it's not necessarily a terrible thing. But I do think it is important to understand that it's kind of a fragile part of the human experience, and to maybe learn what to do in the case that this type of thing does happen to you. All right. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you like.